This is the Dive into Discovery podcast, where curiosity meets insight, and every conversation uncovers a new layer of understanding.
Welcome to today's Dive into Discovery. We're your hosts, Theo and Alex, and today we're going deep into the life and legacy of Dr. Charles Drew.
Dr. Drew, huh? Yeah, fascinating figure. He really revolutionized medicine, But his story also kind of intersects with some really pivotal and frankly difficult moments in history.
Absolutely, and it feels especially relevant to be exploring his story during Black History Month. Dr. Drew's achievements really deserve to be celebrated, but we also need to understand the challenges he faced, particularly working in a segregated medical system.
Exactly.
So, okay, let's unpack this. We've got a ton of material here. Biographies, historical accounts of blood banking, firsthand accounts, you name it. Where should we even begin?
Well, I think it's helpful to start with his early life, see how his experiences shaped his path.
Yeah.
Dr. Drew was a multi-talented individual from the start, a star athlete in high school, earned himself a scholarship to Amherst College. Interestingly, though, he initially struggled with science.
Wait, really? That's surprising, considering he became such a prominent figure in medical science.
Right. It speaks to his determination, He didn't let those early challenges deter him. He persevered, excelled academically, then went on to work multiple jobs, can you believe it, to put himself through medical school at McGill University in Canada.
Wow, talk about dedication. Graduating second in his class, too. He clearly had a passion for medicine from early on.
Absolutely. He specialized in surgery and then focused his research on blood, which at the time, was a field just ripe for innovation. Blood transfusions were a risky and often desperate measure back then because blood couldn't be stored effectively.
So it sounds like he entered the scene at a pretty pivotal moment. What were the biggest challenges with blood transfusions back then?
The main problem, whole blood spoiled very quickly. So you needed a donor, not just any donor, but one with the right blood type. They had to be immediately available, which wasn't always possible, obviously. And even then, the risk of contamination and transfusion reactions, that was high.
That makes sense. It sounds like a logistical nightmare, especially emergency situations or on the battlefield. So how did Dr. Drew change things?
His major breakthrough really was shifting the focus from whole blood to blood plasma. Plasma is the liquid part of blood, and it turned out to have several, you could say, game-changing advantages.
Okay, let's dive into those advantages. What made plasma so revolutionary?
First, plasma. It can be stored for much longer than whole blood. Second, it doesn't require refrigeration. They could even dry it and reconstitute it later with sterile water. And here's the big one. Plasma, it doesn't require blood type matching for transfusions.
Wow, that's huge. So suddenly you have a readily available, storable, and universally compatible blood product. It's like he cracked the code for safe and efficient transfusions.
Exactly. And this breakthrough, it couldn't have come at a better time. World War II was raging, and the demand for blood transfusions on the battlefield, it was skyrocketing. This led Dr. Drew to lead the Blood for Britain program.
Blood for Britain. Tell me more about that. It sounds like a massive undertaking.
It was. Dr. Drew and his team, they collected over 14,500 pints of plasma. They processed it, shipped it overseas to help treat wounded soldiers. He developed mobile blood collection units, which we know today as bloodmobiles, to increase donations.
So not only was he innovating in the lab, but he was also figuring out the logistics of mass blood collection and distribution.
Right. And he established standardized procedures for safety and quality control, laying the groundwork for a national blood banking system. These mobile units, standardized procedures, and his emphasis on plasma, all of that was critical during the war effort.
It's amazing how all of these innovations stemmed from his initial focus on plasma. And speaking of groundwork, this expertise led him to become the director of the first American Red Cross blood bank, didn't it?
It did. And, the blood bank system we largely rely on today, it's directly based on Dr. Drew's work and the procedures he established. It's a legacy that has saved millions of lives.
It's incredible to think about how his work continues to have such a direct impact on our lives today. But sadly, his time with the Red Cross was cut short due to a deeply disturbing policy implemented by the U.S. military.
You're referring to the segregation of blood by race.
Yes, the military decided to segregate blood donations based on race, despite there being no scientific basis for it. It's heartbreaking to see how such blatant racism impacted a figure who had already contributed so much.
It was truly shameful policy. Dr. Drew, he was vehemently opposed to it, called it unscientific and insulting, and he ultimately resigned from his position in protest.
What a powerful statement. It's inspiring to see him standing up for what's right, even at a personal cost. But even after facing this injustice, he didn't stop innovating, did he?
Not at all. In fact, he continued to refine blood storage techniques. He pioneered the use of refrigerated blood storage, which further extended the shelf life of blood.
Oh, that's right. Refrigerated storage. It revolutionized how hospitals could manage their blood supply, allowing them to stockpile blood in advance for emergencies. That innovation, it likely impacts all of our lives today.
Absolutely. It's thanks to Dr. Drew's work that hospitals can readily access a safe and reliable blood supply, making life-saving transfusions possible at a moment's notice.
So even after facing such discrimination, he continued to make advancements that benefited the entire medical community. That speaks volumes about his character.
It does. And it's important to remember that he didn't just focus on research and innovation. He was also deeply committed to training a new generation of Black physicians.
Right. He returned to Howard University, a historically Black institution, and focused on nurturing the next generation of medical professionals.
Exactly. He saw the need to increase diversity in medicine, not only for the sake of representation, but also for the benefit of Black communities, who often face disparities in healthcare. He became a mentor and role model for countless aspiring Black physicians.
And what about his tragic death? There's this common misconception that he died because he was denied treatment at a segregated hospital after a car accident.
That's actually a myth. While it's true that segregated hospitals were a harsh reality at the time, the records show that Dr. Drew did receive treatment after his accident. Unfortunately, his injuries were just too severe.
That's an important distinction to make. It's a tragic reminder of the pervasive racism he faced throughout his life, even if that specific detail isn't entirely accurate.
Right. It's crucial to separate fact from fiction, but it also, highlights the very real dangers that Black patients faced in a segregated healthcare system.
So we've covered a lot of ground here. We've seen Dr. Drew's early passion for medicine, his groundbreaking work with blood plasma, his leadership during wartime, his fight against racial injustice, and his dedication to training future generations of Black physicians. What stands out to you as his most impactful contribution?
That's a tough question. He accomplished so much in such a short lifetime. But for me, it's the lasting impact of his blood banking work, The systems and procedures he established are still in use today, quite literally saving lives every single day.
I completely agree. It's hard to overstate the significance of that contribution. But beyond the science, his fight against the segregation of blood donations is equally inspiring. It shows his commitment to social justice and his refusal to compromise his principles.
Absolutely. It's a reminder that progress in science and medicine, it's deeply intertwined with social progress. We can't separate the two.
And that's a powerful message that resonates even today. But as we delve deeper into Dr. Drew's life, I'm curious to explore some of those lesser-known details that might offer further insights into his character and brilliance.
I'm all for that. For instance, did you know that Dr. Drew was quite the athlete in his younger years? He even earned a scholarship to Amherst College, for his athletic abilities.
Wait, really? I had no idea. That's incredible. What sports did he play?
He excelled in both football and track and field. He was captain of his high school football team and a track and field champion, showcasing his leadership skills and athletic prowess.
It makes you wonder if those experiences on the field, the discipline, the teamwork, somehow contributed to his success in the lab.
That's an interesting thought. Perhaps there's a connection there, and it's even more impressive considering he initially struggled with science in high school.
You're kidding. The future father of blood banking had trouble with science. That's almost reassuring in a way.
It is, isn't it? It shows that even brilliant minds can face challenges, but with perseverance and the right support, they can overcome them and achieve extraordinary things.
Absolutely. And speaking of support, his time at McGill University Medical School was a defining period for him. Not only did he excel academically, but he also met a mentor who would significantly shape his path, Dr. John Beatty.
Dr. Beatty was a Scottish surgeon, took Dr. Drew under his wing, and guided him towards blood-related research.
What a pivotal encounter that must have been.
It was. Dr. Beatty, he recognized Dr. Drew's talent, encouraged his curiosity, steering him towards a field that would become his life's work.
It's remarkable how these seemingly chance encounters can have such a profound impact on our lives.
Absolutely. And it underscores the importance of mentorship and, the power of recognizing potential in others.
And that's a theme we see throughout Dr. Drew's life. He received guidance from mentors. And he, in turn, became a mentor to countless aspiring Black physicians.
Passing on the knowledge, the inspiration, creating a ripple effect of positive change.
That's a beautiful cycle.
It is, and it's something we'll see even more as we, continue exploring his life and work. It really is. And as we, kind of delve deeper into his work on blood plasma, it's fascinating to see how he tackled the practical challenges back then. Remember, this was before modern refrigeration was widely available.
Oh, right. So how do they even transport blood?
Yeah.
Especially during the war.
That's where Dr. Drew's focus on plasma was truly revolutionary. Whole blood was incredibly difficult to transport, and store, but plasma, it had some key advantages.
Let's break those down. Why was plasma so much easier to work with?
First, plasma can be dried. This process, well, it removes the water content, making it much more stable and less prone to spoilage.
Okay, that makes sense. Drying it would also make it lighter and easier to ship, right?
Exactly. And here's the incredible part. Dried plasma could then be reconstituted, just like that, with sterile water right before use.
Wow, it's like a scientific magic trick. They essentially turned blood into a powder and then back again.
It was a game changer, especially during the war. They could ship large quantities of dried plasma overseas, and medics could, easily reconstitute it on the battlefield, providing life-saving transfusions to wounded soldiers.
That's remarkable. It's almost like he foresaw the logistical challenges of wartime and developed a solution perfectly tailored to those needs.
And we can't forget the other major advantage of plasma. It doesn't require blood type matching. This meant that, anyone could receive a plasma transfusion regardless of their blood type, which was, it was a huge advantage in emergency situations.
So thanks to Dr. Drew, not only could they transport blood more effectively, but they also removed a major barrier to transfusions. It's hard to imagine how many lives were saved because of these innovations.
Absolutely. And his work wasn't limited to plasma. He also made significant advancements in the storage of whole blood.
That's right. He was a pioneer in refrigerated blood storage, which extended the shelf life of blood even further. This allowed hospitals to, stockpile blood in advance, prepared for any emergency.
It's another innovation that we take for granted today, but it was revolutionary at the time. Think about it. Before refrigerated storage, hospitals, they constantly needed fresh donations. It was a logistical nightmare.
It's mind-boggling to think about how he tackled these logistical challenges, especially during a time when technology was so limited. It really highlights his ingenuity.
It does. But sadly, even with all of his brilliance and dedication, Dr. Drew's career was marred by, the pervasive racism of the time.
You're talking about the discrimination he faced within the medical community.
Exactly. Despite his expertise, he was often denied top positions at hospitals simply because of his race. Many institutions flat out refused to hire Black surgeons, no matter how qualified they were.
It's infuriating to think that someone who had contributed so much to medicine faced such blatant prejudice. And it wasn't just limited to hiring practices, was it?
Sadly, no. The most glaring example is the U.S. military's policy of segregating blood donations based on race. Even though science clearly showed there was, no difference in blood compatibility, they insisted on separating blood by race.
It's a chilling reminder of how deeply ingrained racism was in society.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to believe that such a policy even existed, especially within an organization responsible for saving lives.
And this policy, is a major factor in Dr. Drew's decision to resign from his position at the Red Cross. He vehemently opposed this segregation, called it unscientific and insulting, and refused to be part of a system that perpetuated such injustice.
What a powerful act of protest. It shows his unwavering commitment to equality, even when it meant sacrificing his own position.
It does. He knew that this wasn't just about science. It was about, human dignity.
Yeah.
And the fundamental right to equal treatment.
And thankfully, his actions, along with the voices of many others, eventually led to the abolishment of this discriminatory practice. It's a reminder that even in the face of such deeply rooted prejudice, progress is possible.
Absolutely. But it's also a stark reminder of the ongoing fight for racial justice. In healthcare and beyond, Dr. Drew's story is a powerful testament to the importance of challenging injustice, wherever we see it.
His courage in speaking out against this policy is incredibly inspiring. It makes you wonder, what if he had been given the full support and recognition he deserved throughout his career?
That's a thought-provoking question. What if he hadn't faced those racial barriers? Imagine the heights he could have reached, the additional lives he could have saved. it's a tragic loss, not only for the medical community, but for humanity as a whole.
It's a reminder that prejudice and discrimination have real-world consequences, limiting potential and hindering progress.
Absolutely. But let's not dwell solely on the injustices he faced.
Yeah.
Dr. Drew's legacy, it extends far beyond those struggles. He was a brilliant scientist, a dedicated mentor, and a tireless advocate for equality.
And one of the most inspiring aspects of his story is his commitment to training a new generation of Black physicians at Howard University.
That's right. He didn't just focus on, research and innovation. He saw the importance of passing on his knowledge and skills to those who had been, well, historically excluded from the medical profession.
He understood that representation matters, and that increasing diversity in medicine it would benefit not only Black communities, but society as a whole.
Exactly. And he didn't just lecture or give instructions. He became a true mentor, nurturing their talents, inspiring them to strive for excellence.
His students went on to become leaders in their fields, breaking down barriers and carrying on his legacy of scientific achievement and social justice advocacy.
It's a beautiful example of the ripple effect of positive change that one person can create.
It is.
Yeah.
But his influence extended beyond his direct mentorship. He also played a crucial role in establishing surgical standards for Black hospitals, which often faced a lack of resources and support.
That's right. He helped improve their training programs, ensuring that Black patients received the same level of care as their white counterparts.
It was another way for him to fight for equality and address the health disparities that plagued Black communities.
And it's a testament to his unwavering commitment to social justice, not just in word, but in action.
But even with all of his accomplishments and accolades, there's a sense that Dr. Drew's story is still not as widely known as it should be.
That's true. While he's, recognized within the medical community, his name doesn't hold the same level of recognition as some other scientific giants.
It makes you wonder, why is that? Why hasn't he received the same level of, widespread fame as, say, Jonas Salk or Alexander Fleming?
Well, there are likely many factors at play, but it's hard to ignore the role that race and racism may have played in shaping his legacy.
It's a sobering thought, but it's important to acknowledge those systemic forces that often silence and marginalize the contributions of people of color.
Absolutely. And it's why it's so crucial to keep telling his story, to amplify his voice, and to ensure that his contributions to science, medicine, and social justice are fully recognized and appreciated.
And thankfully, there are signs that his legacy is finally getting the attention it deserves.
Yeah.
The Charles R. Drew University of Medicine and Science in Los Angeles is a testament to his enduring impact.
And his image even graced a U.S. postage stamp. It's a small but significant recognition of his national importance.
Those are powerful symbols. But beyond the awards and recognitions, the true measure of his legacy lies in the countless lives he saved and the countless others he inspired.
Absolutely. And that's a legacy that will continue to reverberate for generations to come.
It's a reminder that one person, even in the face of adversity, can make a world of difference. Now, earlier we touched upon Dr. Drew's initial struggles with science in high school. It's a detail that I find particularly interesting.
Oh, me too. It's almost reassuring to know that even someone who achieved such greatness in science, well, they didn't have an innate mastery of it from the start.
Exactly. It shows that even geniuses can have their weaknesses, and that it's okay to struggle, to ask for help, and to persevere through challenges.
It makes his story even more relatable, doesn't it? It reminds us that success isn't about being, born brilliant. It's about dedication, hard work, and a willingness to learn and grow.
Absolutely. And it seems like Dr. Drew had those qualities in spades. It's evident in his academic journey, his groundbreaking research, and his unwavering commitment to social justice.
It's a reminder that true brilliance often lies in the combination of, talent, hard work, and a deep-seated passion for making a positive impact on the world.
And speaking of his journey, his time at McGill University Medical School was a pivotal period in his life. Not only did he excel academically, but he also faced significant financial challenges.
That's right. He had to work multiple jobs to support himself through medical school. Imagine trying to juggle demanding studies with the pressures of, financial hardship.
It's a testament to his incredible work ethic and determination.
It is. He could have easily given up or let those challenges, derail his dreams, but he didn't. He persevered, demonstrating the resilience that would become a hallmark of his career.
And it was during this challenging time that he encountered another pivotal figure, Dr. John Beatty, a Scottish surgeon who became his mentor and guided him towards blood research.
Dr. Beatty, he saw Dr. Drew's potential and encouraged his curiosity, steering him towards a field that would ultimately change the course of medicine.
It's fascinating how these seemingly chance encounters can have such a profound impact on our lives.
It is. It highlights the importance of mentorship and the power of recognizing potential in others.
And it's a reminder that our journeys are often shaped by the people we meet along the way.
Now, let's shift our focus back to Dr. Drew's groundbreaking work with blood plasma. I'm particularly curious about the process of, drying and reconstituting plasma. It sounds almost like science fiction.
It does, doesn't it? Imagine being a soldier on the battlefield in the 1940s and receiving a life-saving transfusion from blood that had been turned into a powder and back again.
It's a testament to human ingenuity and the power of, scientific innovation. But let's break down the process a bit. How did they actually manage to dry and reconstitute plasma?
Well, from what I understand, it involves a few key steps. First, they separate the plasma from the whole blood, right, using a centrifuge, which spins the blood at high speed, separating the components based on density.
Right. So the heavier red blood cells settle at the bottom,
Yeah.
and the lighter plasma rises to the top. But how did they remove the water content to create the dried plasma powder?
That's where a process called freeze drying or lyophilization comes in. They essentially freeze the plasma and then create a vacuum, which causes the frozen water to sublimate or transition directly from ice to vapor.
Okay, so the ice essentially evaporates, leaving behind a dry, powdered form of plasma. It sounds like a delicate and complex process.
It is, and it required precise control over temperature and pressure to ensure that the plasma retained its vital properties.
And then to reconstitute the plasma, they simply add sterile water, right?
Yeah, exactly. The dried plasma powder readily absorbs the water, restoring it to a liquid form that can be used for transfusions.
It's a truly remarkable process, especially considering the limited technology available at the time. And it highlights Dr. Drew's innovative spirit and his ability to find practical solutions to complex challenges.
And it's a reminder that even in the midst of, a global conflict, scientific progress doesn't stop. In fact, wartime often drives innovation, pushing us to find new and creative solutions to pressing problems.
Absolutely. And Dr. Drew's work during World War II is a prime example of that. His expertise in blood plasma preservation, well, it came at a crucial time when the need for blood transfusions was skyrocketing.
Imagine the scale of that need. Thousands upon thousands of soldiers wounded, requiring blood transfusions.
And thanks to Dr. Drew's innovations, they had a fighting chance. His methods allowed medics in war zones to quickly rehydrate stored plasma, saving countless lives.
It's mind-boggling to think about the logistics involved in transporting blood during wartime. But Dr. Drew's focus on plasma, it made it possible.
Exactly. Remember, plasma doesn't require refrigeration like whole blood, and it can be, dried and reconstituted with sterile water.
It was the perfect solution for battlefield conditions.
Yeah.
And the fact that it didn't require blood type matching made it even more valuable.
Absolutely. It meant medics could administer transfusions quickly without, wasting precious time trying to find compatible donors.
His work was truly a game changer, and its impact extended far beyond World War II. His research played a key role in establishing MEAs units, which became synonymous with emergency medical care in later conflicts.
Those mobile surgical hospitals, they revolutionized battlefield medicine, providing life-saving care closer to the front lines.
It's incredible to think about the ripple effect of his work, saving lives in conflicts for generations to come.
And his contributions weren't limited to the military. His research and innovations, they formed the foundation for the American Red Cross Blood Bank and countless other organizations dedicated to, to saving lives through blood transfusions.
It's amazing to think that something as commonplace as donating blood today is a direct result of his pioneering efforts.
He truly changed the landscape of medicine, making blood transfusions a safe and reliable procedure available to people around the world.
But sadly, his story is also one of missed opportunities and injustice. Despite his groundbreaking work, he faced significant racial discrimination throughout his career.
It's a stark reminder that even in the field of science where objectivity should prevail, prejudice can rear its ugly head.
Remember that awful policy of segregating blood donations by race, despite there being no scientific basis for it.
It was a blatant example of racism disguised as science, and it it deeply affected Dr. Drew.
His resignation from the Red Cross over this policy was a powerful statement. He refused to be complicit in a system that perpetuated such injustice.
It takes immense courage to stand up for what's right, especially when it means, sacrificing your own position. Dr. Drew's actions, they paved the way for future generations to challenge racial biases in healthcare and advocate for equal access to quality care for all.
It's a reminder that progress often comes at a personal cost, but the fight for justice is always worth it. And speaking of fighting for justice, Dr. Drew's commitment to training a new generation of Black physicians at Howard University was truly inspiring.
He understood that representation matters and that increasing diversity in medicine would benefit not only Black communities, but society as a whole.
He saw it as his duty to pass on his knowledge and skills to those who had been historically excluded from the medical profession.
His students, they went on to become leaders in their fields, breaking down barriers and carrying on his legacy of excellence and advocacy.
It's a beautiful testament to the power of mentorship and the ripple effect of positive change that one person can create.
And it makes you wonder, what more could Dr. Drew have accomplished if he hadn't faced so much adversity?
That's a question that lingers. But even in the face of injustice, his brilliance is shown through, and his impact on the world is undeniable.
Thankfully, recognition for his contributions is finally catching up. Awards, institutions named after him, his story being told more widely, it's all long overdue.
It's crucial that we remember Dr. Charles Drew not just for his scientific breakthroughs, but also for his unwavering commitment to equality and justice.
His legacy is a reminder that true greatness lies not only in intellectual achievements, but also in the courage to stand up for what's right and fight for a better world.
Well said. So as we conclude this deep dive into the life and legacy of Dr. Charles Drew, let's take a moment to appreciate the profound impact he's had on our lives and the world around us.
His story it's a testament to human ingenuity, perseverance, and the enduring power of one person to make a difference.
And it's a call to action for each of us to strive for excellence in our own endeavors, to challenge injustice wherever we see it, and to use our knowledge and talents to create a more just and equitable world for all.
So the next time you see a blood drive or hear about the life-saving work of the Red Cross, remember Dr. Charles Drew, the brilliant and courageous pioneer who made it all possible.
And let his story inspire you to make a difference in your own unique way. Thanks for joining us on this journey of discovery. And until next time, keep diving deep.
Yeah, until next time, keep diving deep.
What did you think of this week's episode? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to join us next time as we dive even deeper. And as always, stay curious, because you never know what discoveries are just around the corner.